Welcome to Watercolor Techniques with Jane. Today I'm going to demonstrate how to create a birch tree with watercolor. In this demonstration, we're going to create the trunks of a birch tree or a couple of birch trees. So I've drawn two trunks here and I'm going to show you how, first of all, to make them look round and have depth. And in order to do that, you have to give it some shadow. So first of all, you have to decide which way the light is coming. And I'm going to say the light is coming from the left. So I'm going to put the shadow on the right of both of these trees. I'm going to use a mixture of ultramarine blue and Payne's gray, and you can do this as light or as dark as you want depending on what you're doing. And so you need to have a round brush loaded with your paint, and you don't necessarily have to do this sort of straight up and down. Sometimes I turn my paper around. So I'm going to put the paint down along this edge of the trunk, and I'm then going to put it down, well, I think I'll just do one at a time. And so I have my brush loaded with a mixture of pale ultramarine blue and Payne's gray. And you go along the edge of the trunk from the base to the top, so you get lighter as you go off. Then I'm going to wash my brush, and I'm going to go along this edge, and I'm going to feather it out. Now see how that leaves a sort of sharp line on the edge of the tree? And as you go to the other side, it gets lighter. Now I've just washed my brush again, and I'm going to feather that out even more so that the other side of the tree is in the light. So now you can see that this is dark and this is light. Let me show you that again with the other trunk. And here we go. We go like this down the side of the trunk that we've decided is in the shadow. I'm not staying in the lines, but that's okay. And I'm washing my brush, dabbing it a little on the paper towel, and then going in and feathering it out. And I'll do that one more time. And that's the first step. Now we have to let that dry. So now that we have the trunks of the birch trees showing a little bit of shape to them, so because we put in this shadow, remember the light is coming from the left hand side. Now I'm going to turn it right side up, and now I have a rigging brush. A rigging brush is I think this is a number 1, and they're long and fine, and they tend to hold quite a bit of paint. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the ultramarine blue and the Payne's gray, and I'm going to make it a little darker, and I'm going to load up my brush. And it's always good to have a piece of scrap paper when you're doing this. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the paper and the brush to create texture. 140-pound cold press and other cold press papers have a texture, and they have hills and valleys that are created by the mold that creates them. And so this is the rigging brush loaded with paint, and you can see that it gives you a nice texture. And we're going to use that in texturing this these birch trees. And again, I'm moving the paper. I don't always keep it right way up. And we're going to also at the same time use this texture, but we're also going to accentuate the fact that it is a round tree. And so I'm going to put some lines in, and then I'm going to use the side of the brush and create some texture. And at the base of the tree, it's a little darker, and there are with some roots coming out the base, like that. And it's not always the same, so I'm going to start from the light side this time. And just put a little bit in there. And then as we go up the tree, make sure your paint stays dry. We're going to put in some branches, or there may have been some branches that broke off. And where there's a branch on the tree, usually there's some sort of V that happens in a birch tree, and it kind of looks like that. And this may have been a branch that broke off, and that's a little light, so I am going to go back into that because these branches tend to be a little darker. And these branches, it's kind of a, I do this a lot as a winter scene, so they may be a little browner if you're doing it in a summer scene. So, and then you continue up the tree to do this, and you can add in some darker color as well. And here we are, we're creating it round. And something like that. And again, I'm taking the side of the brush, and then where I've just put that darker color, I'm going to turn the paper again and go out with a branch. And these branches up here will start to have other branches going off of them. And again, this would be in the winter. So, and then we can go continue up here and add in some of that. And then the other thing I would do is with a little maybe burnt sienna, just a little, you can put in some burnt sienna in here, because when the birch bark peels off, underneath it's a little brown, and burnt sienna is the perfect color, like that. And there you have. Now I'll quickly show you how to do the second tree. Hope you like this. Thank you for joining me today in learning how to paint birch trees. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give me a shout at jane@janemayjones.com. Have a lovely day.